Welcome to the exciting conclusion of 100 Days of Stardew Valley, Bingo Edition, starring Aubrey and Bingo. It's the first of winter and we are in the final stretch. To give a little recap on the last few seasons, we've got a bit to go before we max out every skill, have 4 villagers at maxed at heart. Let's not look too closely at the collections tab, but I have managed to collect a good deal of the recipes. Can't say that I've cooked many of them, and my current bingo progress looks like this. That morning, I followed some suspicious footprints through the snow and bumped into Shadow Guy, who gave me the magnifying glass that would allow me to find secret notes. I began to wonder if the Shadow Guy was my pal Krobus, so I went to visit him, but he didn't mention my morning encounter. Instead, he opened up a tunnel for me to find the dark talisman needed to access the wizard's X's Bastille. My fiber was done growing, so I harvested it so that I could craft the deluxe scarecrow to complete another bingo spot. Then crafted tea saplings with the remaining fiber. On day 86, Krobus sent me the recipe to craft a dark sign. Caroline gave me a parsnip, and Willie asked me to catch a squid. But before I attempted to catch the squid, I stopped in to see what was in Willie's back room. Willie's boat wasn't in the game the last time I played, so I may have looked up the materials needed on the wiki. I dropped off the hardwood, iridium bars, and battery packs needed to fix the boat. Heading back through town, I found out the reason Lewis doesn't want his relationship with Marnie to get out. Then purchased the star drop from Krobus to fill my mind with something other than the dysfunctional relationship between Lewis and Marnie. That night, Robin and Willie got to work repairing the boat. I wish I knew the name of the boat, but I couldn't find any information on the wiki, so let's name it. Let's see. It takes you to Ginger Island. Ginger's Island? I mean, wait. Wasn't Ginger one of the passengers stranded on Gilligan's Island? It can't be. Is this the SS Minnow? Was Stardew Valley populated by the descendants of the people who wrecked on Gilligan's Island? I'd need to head to the island tomorrow to search for more clues, but I've got a suspicion. The next morning, I packed up some supplies I'd need on the island and headed out. But first, I wanted to drop by a birthday gift for Linus and ask Robin to get started on a stable for the horse I'd need for one of my bingo spots. Robin must have been anxious to get started on the stable because she dashed out of the house ahead of me, nearly running poor Linus over. Don't worry, he was okay. When I reached Willie's shop, I considered purchasing the iridium rod, but decided to hop on the boat and hope that the maiden voyage of the newly repaired SS Minnow would go better than the previous launch. Look at us go. Watch out for that ship. Oh, sorry. Am I being a back boat driver? I was so excited to be on the island, so I ran about on the beach before noticing a small child watching me from the tree. He ran off, so I followed him to see if he knew what became of Ginger. He did not seem to. Then a flame led me north. Excuse me, do you know? Alrighty then. Guess I'll just do some exploring on my own. I found a parrot who wanted 10 of the walnuts I found to shoo away the turtle, then another who wanted 20 walnuts that I didn't have. I'll have to wait to unlock the island hut, but I can still plant some crops while I'm here. It was getting late, so I warped home to make sure I was there in the morning for Haley. On a snowy day 88, Haley repaired fences around the farm. I actually didn't know a spouse could do that, but maybe she got a few tips from Robin while she was here working on the stable. Since the stable was in process, I decided I should get a move on with purchasing the other animals needed for that bingo spot. So I purchased a rabbit named Roger, then headed over to the saloon to drop off the 24 eggs Gus had requested, before catching a ride with Willie over to Ginger Island. Once there, I met a mystery woman. Journal Daddy told me her name was Birdie, but I'm not convinced. Could this actually be Ginger? I thought the strange voice from behind the door might be able to help, but I'd need to find 100 walnuts to actually talk to him. 19% there. Not bad, not good, but not bad. I cheesed my way past a few tiger slimes to reach another few walnuts, before playing a nightmare game of Simon Says that had me lost and confused inside a cave for 5 in-game hours. These 3 walnuts better be worth it. While running in the dark trying to remember the way home, I panicked and gave the first parrot I saw 10 of my precious walnuts that I should have been saving for my cabin. Luckily, this opened up the Parrot Express and I was transported to the dock lickety-split. Relieved that I wouldn't pass out lost on the island tonight, I even stopped to shimmy up some goodies on my way to board the boat back home. The next morning, Gus sent me a mini fridge, and my stable was finished, so I named my horse Winnie and took a spin around town on my loyal steed, before interrupting Willie's morning fishing for a trip back to the island. It was raining on Ginger Island, so I found the topaz bird on the northern island and somehow managed to power guess my way to 5 more walnuts. Then I tried going into Volcano. It was pretty scary, but I managed to reach level 5 around midnight, and there was a bird there who offered to take me to the exit for 5 walnuts. Geez, these parrots sure do know how to get me with the promise of an escape route. On day 90, I got to work expanding my strawberry crops in the greenhouse. Probably not the most lucrative crop to grow, but I love strawberries. Then I headed back to the mines to slay some monsters, specifically the dust sprites needed to unlock the burglar's ring. Only to find out I still had a long way to go on that goal. So I headed back to the mines for more monster combat until the sleepy hours. Pierre stopped by on day 91 to say he'd be offering different seeds for me to purchase from him next year. Please ignore the seed maker next to the door, you see nothing. I finally remembered to check on my sturgeon pond this morning and he was asking for a diamond. So I obliged. We would now be able to have 3 sturgeon in the pond, dramatically increasing the chance for the fish eggs needed to make caviar. I found Bingo wandering around the southern exit, trying to remind me to check the traveling cart, but there was nothing there to purchase for the missing bundle. Next, I headed to Marnie's and did make a purchase of another basic farm animal, Baba the sheep, before heading into town to gift Caroline a freshly brewed green tea for her birthday, and then spent the evening back in the mines working on combat, monster slaying goals, and holding out hope for a prismatic shard drop. Late into the evening, I came across a special slime and felt a glimmer of hope for a shard drop, but he only had thermal boots on him. It was now the day of the Ice Festival, and quite possibly the day I made the worst blunder of the entire run. That morning, I sold 309 blackberries in the shipping bin. 309. If you don't know already, I'll tell you why this was such a blunder once I'm finished being disappointed with myself. So I headed down to the Ice Festival, blissfully unaware of the trauma I just caused, and took home first prize in the ice fishing competition. Sorry, Willie. That night, I made a pretty nice profit from foraging, but, well, I'm still not ready to talk about it. On day 93, Haley saw how much work I'd put into this challenge and asked that you like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. I decided to head back to the mines again today because dust sprites, prismatic shards, yada yada yada. I hadn't even killed half the sprites I'd need to unlock the burglar's ring, so these mine trips were starting to feel futile. But if at first you don't succeed, at least you can have a blast trying. Later that night, I found a cryptic note to bring syrup to the secret woods, though I still hadn't realized the gargantuan error I'd made just the day before. It was not until the next morning, as I strolled into the secret woods, that the realization struck me. I had lost out on over 13,000 gold from the sale of my blackberries. So I did a little retail therapy to help ease the pain and bought milk. The white cow I needed to fully complete the all normal animals bingo spot. Next, I ran over to see Sebastian and gift him a frozen tear for his birthday, before fishing up some sturgeon to add to the pond. I realized the wizard's wife was still trapped in the mountain, so while I was in the area, I dropped by to investigate. There was a henchman blocking my way, but luckily I knew I could fish up the void mayo he desired from the water right next to him in order to retrieve the wizard's ink. I can now eventually build a Junimo hut on my farm, and the obelisk, and the gold clock. But the Junimo hut! My newly filled sturgeon pond had another request waiting for me on day 95, so I threw a grape into the preserves jar to make them their jelly. I was in the mood to take on requests this morning, so I picked up the Cave Patrol quest from the Special Orders board, but got sidetracked by a bubble spot right outside the entrance to the mine. After fishing, I got to work on clearing skeletons from the mines by resetting floors 70 to 79 well into the night. The fishing diversion did pay off because I reached level 10, selecting Pirate. Arrgh. Oh, and I hit level 8 combat. I'd only managed to kill 18 of the 50 skeletons needed the night before, but I had 3 days to finish this quest, and only 4 days to reach bingo in this challenge. Oh my gosh, where has the time gone? My pond had produced roe today, but even if I made caviar, I don't think I have time to collect the other items needed for the missing bundle. I knew I needed to get back to hunting skeletons, but fishing in the mines was calling to me instead. Really glad I answered that call because I managed to fish up my very first dino egg while trying to catch the extremely rare ice pip on floor 60. I spent the rest of the night slaying skeletons on the frigid floors, running home in time to place my new dino buddy in the vacant coop incubator. On day 97, I checked on my heart situation and was disappointed to find out that I was only at 7 hearts with my buddy Gus. To remedy this situation, I grabbed an orange and headed over to the saloon, only to find that the door would be locked for another hour. No wonder he'd been closed that morning. Gus had been preparing that ginormous omelet I'd supplied the eggs for. Needless to say, the omelet was a hit. And after gifting a few more townies, I had my 6th resident at 10 hearts, with Robin and Gus trailing close behind at 8. An added benefit of working on the Cave Patrol quest is that I completed the Skeleton Monster Slayer goal and was rewarded with a fancy new hat for Winnie. I found the skeleton motherlode as I continued questing in the mines that evening, and managed to kill the final skeleton needed for the quest as the sleepy hours arrived. Day 98 was a good humor day, and Roger had dropped a foot overnight. Lucky me. I'd completed my immediate tasks in the mines and thought a trip to Skull Cavern was in order, so I loaded up on bombs I'd need there. Before I departed, I had Clint open a few geodes, including a golden coconut that held a beautiful banana sapling inside. Then it was off to the desert, where I stocked up on staircases and other goods. I wasn't as decked out as my previous trip, but my goal today was just to find a prismatic shard. No need to traverse all the way to floor 100 to do that, is what I promised myself as I took some serious damage on the very first floor. And it turns out I was right. On floor 9, as I saw my life flash before my eyes, I also saw that radiant flash of prismatic goodness that let me know my trip was not in vain. Now I just had to make it out of the cavern with my loot intact. So I tucked tail and ran for it. Am I proud? Not particularly. But I know what will make me feel better about my choices. The Galaxy Sword was now mine. It had taken until day 98 to finally have a weapon I felt comfortable hefting about in the more dangerous dungeons. Was it too little too late? While in the desert, I stocked up on starfruit seeds, before heading back to the valley to do my social rounds at the saloon to round out the night. I received a few more recipes on day 99, and then crafted up a good batch of tea saplings with my freshly grown fiber. I had given up trying to earn 1 million gold in this 100 days, but I was hoping to hit at least half that by the end of tomorrow. I replanted more fiber, making sure to have a seasonal rare growth standing guard, before packing up seeds and other items I wanted to bring with me to Ginger Island. Next, I stopped by Pierre's to sell my tea saplings, and purchased one of each of the tree saplings he sold. I wasn't sure yet if I was going to plant them in the greenhouse or on the island, so I decided I would just take them with me and decide once I got there. Once on Ginger Island, I went to work planting the crops I'd brought with me, and did a quick scan of the beach in search of stray walnuts. Then I headed to the night market to do some shopping, and catch a show that really mermaid my night. We've reached day 100. Let me take you on a tour. You know what? A tour is overrated. To be honest, I am a bit embarrassed at the state of my farm, so I decided to plant trees in the greenhouse to show that I am working on it. And all of a sudden, it was somehow afternoon. I needed to get a move on if I had any hope of getting bingo. My best shot at reaching bingo today was retrieving the golden scythe from the quarry mines. While my initial venture into that mine had been, well, terrifying, I had hoped that the Galaxy Sword would see me through to the scythy end. The entrance of the quarry mines was quiet. Too quiet. In fact, most of the mine was quiet. Oh, there you all are. Well, here goes nothing. So I started slashing. Once at the end of the mine, they tried blocking my path to reach the scythe with all manner of stones. But I'm happy to report that I was victorious. We did it! We got bingo on day 100! I went to give Grim a high five for our accomplishment and got the boot instead. Anyways, with the weight of achieving bingo finally lifted off my shoulders, I made one final round at the saloon, even remembering to give Emily the amethyst that Clint had requested I give her instead of him giving it to her, and now she thinks it was a gift from me. Though to be honest, it does make more sense that her sister-in-law give her a present than a guy who's barely spoken to her. So let's just move on to something that no one saw coming. If you had told me that I would be spending the final hours of my 100 days fishing, I would have laughed. Not just chuckled, but really laughed. Though, you know, it is rather peaceful down here. And I managed to catch the 3 fish unique to this location and event. A task that is vital if I wanted to achieve perfection in 200 days? I've had a lot of fun with this challenge and want to thank you for joining me over these 100 days. Let me know in the comments if you think I should switch around some goals and try for a 200-day bingo challenge. But until then, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.